role-playing podcast made for people who don't mind playing a solo RPG every now and again. So, as you can probably tell, tonight I am 100% on my own. That is because Atlas is away, getting older or something like that the crazy kids do today. So I thought I'd give it a go. I thought I'd, come out here and chat to you for an hour and just kind of see how it goes. Normally in these instances, we kind of try get a guest host, as it were, and to be honest, I put something out about bringing guests on, and I had an amazing amount of responses. But I thought that I would give it a whirl. I'd give it a whirl just to kind of come out here and chat to you for perhaps an hour and just kind of see how it goes. And, I will try and behave myself without, anyone sort of being able to kind of monitor my behavior. So, Sam has just showed up in the chat. Hey there, Sam. I hope everything's well. Thank you ever so much for joining, because if not, this would have been a very fucking lonely endeavor. So, anybody who comes in the chat, post your questions. If I get a chance to kind of look over as I'm trying to kind of manage everything at the same time, I will, and I will try and answer them. But right now, Sam, thank you ever so much for joining us. So normally, when we start a show, Atlas and I have a bit of back and forth, a bit of banter, and then we kind of go into our week in gaming. Obviously, Atlas isn't here to answer that question, so I'll go ahead and answer it myself. So this week, we started out early and we played Pathfinder on Monday, back into the Abomination Vaults, which is really good because we are now getting onto the last level, and I'm getting to the stage where I really want to end that campaign. I'm getting to the point now where we've got to finish this side of Christmas. Just because it's done, and then I don't, that's one less Pathfinder game I have to GM. I can then focus on the games I want to run and the campaigns I want to prep, which there'll be a bit more on that a bit later. But other than that, I haven't really done much more gaming. I had my kids around the weekend, and again, speaking of Pathfinder, I thought, it's good for arithmetic, so why not give that a whirl and see how they do. The eldest was a bit more into it than the youngest. The youngest, her attention span did not last very long. But the eldest, he was into it, but I think he preferred the Avatar Legends game, which is powered by the apocalypse, so it's a bit more narrative. He's got a bit more freedom, because even stripping away Pathfinder to the bare minimum, I could see his eyes glazing over when he was just thinking about, okay, I've got another action left. Sam in the chat has asked how long I've been running the campaign. I have no idea. I have genuinely no idea how long Abomination Vaults has been going for. I would have to look that up, but I'm guessing over a year, maybe even 2 years or even more. It is getting to the point where I need to wrap it up. Oh, and speaking of the person who's getting older, is Atlas. Oh, happy birthday, Atlas. I hope you're enjoying it. I know you don't drink, but I hope you're doing the sober person's equivalent of getting absolutely shit-faced. Which as a sober person, I have no fucking clue what that is. Is it eating? Is it eating? Is it overindulging in food? I think that might be it. I don't drink anymore, so if I go out, I'm gonna eat. There's gonna be pizzas. So yeah, I hope you're eating a lot, Atlas. Go on. Have birthday cake and shit. There you go. Sam agrees. Eating yourself in a coma fits. But yeah, so it is great to see Atlas. I hope you're having an amazing time. I was just telling people about my gaming week. So yeah, Pathfinder with the kids did not go well. I just ran a quick Pathfinder Society scenario again, stripped down and very much leading. Okay, so now you're going to go here. Now you're going to go there. He was very much into the narrative aspect of it. When we were out of combat and just kind of talking and going back and forth. So yeah, tactical gameplay is not really for him, and it's not really for me. So that's gonna work out well. Other than that, I haven't actually played any more games this week. However, I was approached by a friend at work who asked me to run a one shot. So I responded with, what sort of genre are you into? Do you like fantasy, sci-fi, cyberpunk, steampunk, horror? And the answer was fantasy. So I am finally dusting off my copy of the One Ring. And they are brand new to tabletop role playing. So I think bringing them in to the One Ring, I think is a very good step, and it kind of steers them away from the D&D zeitgeist. So yeah, hopefully we have a great game. I don't know when I'm going to be running that, but it'll most likely be soon. So, in order to kind of come up with shit to talk about today, because again, I am on my own, unless you haven't noticed. Sam has just posted in the chat, as someone who is really new into gaming, I can relate to kids when learning something new. It is a learning process. Not necessarily the mechanics. I'm a firm believer that if you're brand new to gaming, you should not be bombarded with mechanics. The GM should do the heavy lifting. So, but it's also the mentality of getting into gaming and the adjusting from playing your traditional video games where there are a lot more confines into going into this relatively open sort of style of gaming where you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're able to kind of withstand the consequence. So yeah, I think that is definite. It's a definite sort of learning experience. So, in order to kind of get shit to talk about, I asked people to send in a couple of questions that I could probably just kind of mull over, and I got two. I got two responses, and they are actually quite interesting questions. So I'm going to kind of go into them now. So the first one, I'm going to bring it up pretty much randomly, is from our friend over at Table Cat Games, who was on the show last week. Absolute gem. Check out his games, Monster Truckers. It should be kickstarting soon, and if not, Street Wolves. Fucking yeah, definitely go for that. So he asked, what do I like about Delta Green in particular? Do I like it more than Call of Cthulhu, and why? So I will say that I don't really have enough experience in Call of Cthulhu. I've played it once, and it was a recording we did for the crit list, GM'd by Forever GM Justin. Such a fantastic fucking time. Exceptional group of people that I was fortunate enough to play with, and I loved every second of it. I loved the system. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the table, and there was nothing in it that made me go, oh, well, Delta Green does this better, or Delta Green does that better. So I did not see that. I did not experience that sort of, I don't know what to call it, critique. I wasn't able to kind of critique it in that sense. But then again, I've only played the once. I would have to become a lot more familiar with the rules in order to kind of provide a proper answer as to which I prefer. What I will say is that I'm a fan of existential horror. I think it is fantastic. I think it's a rich vein to pull from, and it's amazing for players, and it's really easy to create an atmosphere. So wanting to play with that mythos, I landed on Delta Green. And I think it was because of the Glass Cannon podcast that, Delta Green was it. It was like, okay, they're playing Delta Green. Seems like fun. It's relevant to my interests. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. And I fucking love it. I love everything about it. And what draws me to it back over and over again, it's more the mythos outside of the existential horror. I like the idea of this shadow organization. I like the idea of you being a part of something and you getting told to go somewhere and do things. And with a very blurred moral line as well. So, the importance of protecting humanity and protecting the secret that is Delta Green outweighs any sort of moral quandary a player or a player character may have, and I love that aspect of it, and I'm trying to instill that in the players at my table and just kind of go, remember, you are Delta Green first. Your cover is an agent. Your cover is this, but first and foremost, you are Delta Green agents, and the end has to justify the means at a cost of your sanity, at a cost of your, if you want to go sort of spiritual about it, at a cost of your soul. So I love that. I love that, and I love the fact that it is an organization, and you are given the tools to fight, because not only does that give you a sort of glimmer of hope, but at the same time it also becomes a lot more terrifying that this guy with a carbine is unable to touch this entity that is no doubt going to kill him. Sam again in chat has posted they always thought that this sanity mechanic was called the sanity mechanic is absolutely wonderful, and the bonds that you have in order to protect you from that sanity, I think is a great sort of twist where you get hit for a lot of sanity damage and you can kind of go, no, I'm projecting this is going to cost me my relationship with this person. And I love that. I think it's a phenomenal addition to a great system. And another thing that really gets me, and this may be a how it's played sort of question, but I like the fact that Delta Green as a organization, with its history, with its mythos, with its key players, with its opposition, with its international counterparts, and etc. etc. I like that is a mystery to be uncovered by the players, not necessarily by the characters. The same player can play in one operation where they meet a particular figure, and then 10 operations down the line, their character is dead and gone. They've brought in a new one, but they play, and this figure reappears. And so the meta knowledge absorbed by the players is also a mystery, and that is why I'm very, very stingy when it comes to revealing this information. If they don't discover it in game, unless it's something fucking funny, like the Dark Man out of Music from a Darkened Room, the D100 sanity loss, then I don't bother sharing it, because I leave it for the players to discover that in character, and for them to then kind of carry it over from one operation to the next. I absolutely adore that. So that was a fantastic question, And now we're going to go to a question from, let me bring this up, Dr. Ether. It is spelled E7HER, but makes a point on the profile to say it is pronounced Ether. So, you know, I am definitely going to abide by that. Dr. E7her. So, his question is, what makes an ideal cast of an actual play? That's a tough one. Fuck, that's a tough one. That's a really good question. I mean, the initial, the first answer, and I think this has to be the first answer always provided when asked a similar question, is inclusivity and representation. That goes without saying. I think, you know, that is hugely important and should always be a priority. So, with that being said, now kind of going on to the of the players. Depends on what you are looking for in an actual play. I am not a big Critical Role-esque story first kind of consumer. So as much as I enjoy it, I get tired. I get tired of kind of watching, you know, people being actors, because if I really wanted to watch that, I'd watch a show on Netflix or something like that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, it's not my preference. I am much more of I want to see the game. I want to see people playing as if, you know, they were in a home game. Early Glass Cannon, for example, because now they have leaned more into the performance side of things, and quite frankly, I struggle to stay engaged. You know, that sort of thing. I like to see the play, even like warts and all. You know, if you want to stop and argue for 15 minutes about getting a rule right, I want to be a witness to that. Because I want to watching something. For me, it is a way of kind of curbing my desire to play. So I like to sit and I like to watch these games happen in real time or close enough to real time. So with that in mind, I would put party cohesion above any performance aspects. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the individual players, but as the table as a whole. I think if you get a group of people that are able to bounce off each other, are able to kind of feed each other, and be able to genuinely just sit back and have a laugh, then I think that is phenomenal. That is, like, you know, half the battle. I mean, what my favorite AP of all time, hell, it's one of my favorite pieces of media of all time, is the Adventures on Balance. Their balance arc is a thing of beauty, because you see it happen. You see them go from, oh, let's play D&D for a bit of a laugh, and you see them as players in real time kind of get more and more invested and more attached, and by the end of the campaign you're in fucking tears just because of, you know, the story that they have crafted together. And, you know, that for me is more important than any particular individual. I think having a table that works well together is a priority, regardless of how great someone is at performing, regardless of how funny somebody is, regardless of how well somebody plays. I think having, even if it's people that don't know how to fucking play, just having the right group of people together, sat at a table, I think is just it for me. It makes or breaks an AP. So thank you ever so much for that question, Dr. Ether. And over in the chat, Sam has posted, maybe to counter, what are your pet peeves in players, or what makes players difficult to have in a party? Oh, okay. I think pet peeves. I think it would be. I think it would be players that clamber for the spotlight. I think players that have that sort of drive to always be the center of attention. That, if I'm GMing, that really kind of irks me in a way. I mean, I get it. Some people are a lot more outgoing. Some people are a lot more sort of comfortable in the spotlight than others, and that is absolutely fine. But when you see that is being the spotlight is being taken despite of other people or in spite of other people, that is when I, as a GM, will normally kind of step in and move things along. Okay, so right, you're fantastic. You're doing that. Okay, person B, what do you want to do? Let's focus on you for a bit. And I will purposely kind of drive the attention to other people without, without depriving anyone, but at the same time, trying to sort of balance it as much as possible. So everybody has enough time in the spotlight to kind of do what they want to do and shine in the way they want to shine. So that is one pet peeve. I think indecisiveness when it comes to sort of playing mechanics, and this is definitely a gripe in the Pathfinder general direction, where people are more concerned about squeezing the mechanics to make their turn as efficient as possible, as opposed to just kind of role playing and, if I lose an action here, fair enough. If it takes me 2 turns to do what I want to do, that's great, because it's nobody's fault. It's more the system. It gives people are given these tools that they have to use, and I think that sometimes the mechanics take precedence, and I don't really feel that they should. So, case in point, I've actually been offered to join a Pathfinder game, which I may not like running the system anymore, but as I always say, for the right GM and the right table, I'll play anything. And when Mistress Winter says, "I want to run a campaign and I want you in it," just where the fuck do I sign? So it's going to be interesting, me playing Pathfinder with that sort of mentality in mind, because it's not a PFS scenario. It's not something where mechanic heavy play is sort of expected. This is going to be a home campaign, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm basically building the Green Arrow. That's my idea. There's going to be a guy who's going to be fucking awesome at shooting bows. I'm not doing a spellcaster because I cannot be fucked. So yeah, that is thanks for that question, Sam. I hope I answered it. I hope I gave you a reasonable enough answer. So in other news, Humble Bundle are doing a fuck ton in regards to TTRPGs this past week and this sort of coming next couple of weeks. One of them I'm going to mention you can no longer buy. I got it on the last day, and yes, I did get it because it was fucking phenomenal. It was like £13, and it was Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition, which I'm currently in a Mutants and Masterminds game with our favorite GM, Connell. He's running it for us. Check it out, Inmates. It's released every couple of Saturdays. Check that out. It's a great system. It's run by a great GM. It's got the greatest hero ever in it. He is a true hero, some would say. So don't hesitate to check that out. So Mutants and Masterminds Humble Bundle. That was available until Friday, I think, was the latest. And yes, I bought it because I needed it in my life. And it is fucking huge. I think it's like 35 PDFs as well as Hero Lab files. And if you're like me, you use Hero Lab, and that is an absolute godsend. It is absolutely phenomenal. There are more though. That is not where Humble Bundle ends. There is also a GI Joe Humble Bundle, which I'm still kind of struggling to see if I'm interested in that because I don't know much about the system, and I can't see myself playing GI Joe in the immediate future. But then again, it is you know, it does help the PDFs for Juan campaign, so I may indulge. That one's about £35, and you get a shit ton of bucks there. Also, if you're unlike me and you are into Pathfinder, or you want to be into Pathfinder, they have posted up a year celebration of Pathfinder Remaster. Again, a lot of products from Pathfinder Society scenarios, adventure paths, core rule books. They've got, I think, the 4 main rule books they've got: Bestiary 1, Bestiary 2, GM Core, no, sorry, Player Core 2, GM Core. I may be wrong. I may be a book missing also, but it does. If you want to get into Pathfinder, this is a perfect moment to do that because it's not expensive. You're talking about 30 quid, and you get hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth of PDFs, and it's absolutely great. And lastly, but certainly not least, because this one does interest me, is 7th Sea 2nd Edition. Now, if you ever wanted to play being a pirate, 7th Sea, 100%. I still need to learn more about the system. I did post something up in a particular Facebook group that I'm a part of with a query. When I was running Pathfinder 1st Edition, I was running an adventure path called Skull and Shackles. It's, again, a pirate-themed adventure path. And it kind of fell apart. Real life got in the way, etc., as it always happens. And we didn't get out of the first book, or I think we just got out of the first book and into the second. But anyway, we didn't get far at all. So I was kind of looking. I've always been looking to kind of reignite that and redo that campaign, but obviously not playing Pathfinder 1st Edition. I was going to do Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but I've banished that to the bottom of my bookshelf. So then I kind of thought, yeah, well, it's done. We tried it, we failed. It is what it is. But lo and behold, Humble Bundle came along and said, hey, look, here's a pirate game. And I went, all right, perhaps that'll work. So I posted in this Facebook group just to kind of say, look, here's the thing. I don't want to run Pathfinder. I do want to complete the campaign because, it's like it's a bugbear for me. The fact that I didn't complete that campaign. Would 7th Sea work? A lot of mixed responses. From 100%, or why do you try Savage Worlds Pathfinder? Don't want to do that because that's a bigger investment that I'm not really willing to make at the moment. So, I got 2 or 3 people to say, yeah, it could work. There are differences. It's not as high. There's not as high magic as there would be in Pathfinder, but I'm pretty sure I can work around that. I'm pretty sure I can come up with alternatives to those particulars. But one of the things I found really interesting was there is a massive amount of discourse between people who prefer 7th Sea 1st Edition to 7th Sea 2nd Edition. It's almost like another game that I used to play, which had a 1st Edition and 2nd Edition. And people weren't too happy. So yeah, I did get a lot of, I won't say vitriol because it wasn't aimed at me, but there was a lot of, oh, second edition shit and all this. So it's £13, even if it's shit. It's 13 fucking quid. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do with it. And if at the end of the day I decide it's not for me, it's okay. I could have lost a lot more than £13 had I have picked up Savage Worlds Pathfinder Edition and kind of gone, yeah, no. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. That's one of the campaigns I've got in mind that I want to kind of reignite. Skull and Shackles. I was really enjoying that adventure path as well. Granted, the rule set didn't really accommodate for everything. Ship to ship battle was a bit, was a bit contrived. So hopefully, like with a system which is based in piracy, I might get a decent ship battle out of it. So Sam, Sam is saying that I've heard you talk about many times how you don't necessarily like to play magic characters or specifically spellcasters. Is it mechanical preference with what goes into casting spells magic? It depends. I think there's a lot of work that goes into playing casters. I don't mind playing a caster so much, because you learn, you adapt, you kind of learn. So I would like to play a bard. I'm a bard at heart, and playing them and casting is absolutely fine. What I really don't particularly enjoy is running spellcasters as a GM because I don't feel like I do them justice. I feel like, I quickly scan through them and just kind of go, right, what's this spell? Right, there you go. And I don't really do these. I mean, there's nothing worse than role playing a wizard who makes the dumbest fucking decisions because the GM is too preoccupied with the other things that are going on and just kind of goes, right, I'll cast this without even giving it a second thought. So I'm not massively fan on running them as a GM because I feel like I don't do them justice. Playing, you get to know the character, you get to know what they can do. It's a different kettle of fish altogether. But yeah, that's a fantastic question. Sam's coming in with the questions today. She is coming in hot, and I'm here for it. So any more questions, just throw them at me, Sam. Just you go ahead. Because if not, it's just going to be me waffling on for an hour, and no fucker wants to see that. So in other news, in other news, this is going to be other news. I do actually need to find this a second. So, I am now officially an NPC in a role-playing game book, and that is all thanks to our friends over at 13th Moon Games. So, if you will allow me a quick plug. So 13th Moon Games, it's a family-run indie game company out of Wyoming, USA that created the tabletop role-playing game Coven Crucible. It's a game of modern-day witchcraft. If you can imagine the John Wick movies and the last Witch Hunter movie got together and had a really pretty baby, Coven Crucible would be it. If you want to learn more or interested in joining the official Discord game, check them out on Instagram or message them there at 13th Moon Games. Also, a quick shout out over to Crossing the Nerdverse. It is a universe where fandoms collide. It's your ultimate portal to all things geeky and glorious. Whether you're into comics, gaming, or sci-fi, they've got you covered. Discover exclusive interviews, epic debates, and insider tips from your favorite creators. So join the adventure at crossingthenerdverse.com. I actually got rid of my script there for a second, so I'll start that again. Join the adventure at crossingthenerdverse.com and unleash your inner nerd. Embrace the passion, celebrate the culture, crossing the nerdverse where every fan finds their place. And lastly, support us. Come along. go visit our merch store, pick up our hoodies, our shirts, our desk mats, anything that we've got going. You can even support us via Ko-fi. You can make a one-time donation, just buy us a coffee, or you can do a monthly subscription. We'll give you a mention in the credits, and we'll get you access to our Traveler's Chalice Discord channel. And as always, the best way to support us is to subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button. Just come on. Anything you can do to kind of keep us going. We love doing this, and we want to do it for as long as possible, and reach as many people as possible. So, Sam has posted another question. She does want to know about my NPC, which I am going to talk about shortly because I'm going to bring up Coven Crucible Unbound. So, the beauty of having Atlas here as well is that sometimes she can vamp while I'm doing all this shit, so it doesn't seem as awkward and as clunky. But let's go and let's bring up. All right, Coven Crucible Unbound. All right, so this was a copy that was forwarded on to me by 13th Moon Games as a thank you for allowing them to use my likeness in their game, and it is a thing of beauty. I mean, I'm in love with the artwork. I'm in love with this style of art. It works out really well, and this is done by our friend Ball Beastie, their daughter. They do the artwork. It is absolutely fantastic. So this is Unbound. So this is their extension, addition to their Coven Crucible game, which we played. It is, I think it's our second Critless game, and we had such a fucking good time. You're playing witches in a world that has witchcraft as a sort of underground, and not necessarily underground, but as a prominent part of the world. And each witch, they belong to a coven. And it is that the world that they've created is so fucking engaging. It's based in modern day Chicago, and it is just so fun in the sense that the magic isn't heavily scrutinized. If you can think of it and you can rationalize it and you make a roll because magic is a skill like any other, then you do it. And there's none of it. It's not Vancian magic. There's no sort of spell slots or anything like that. And I think it is just a fantastic creation. And they have now expanded it with a successful Kickstarter for Unbound. So we will start. We'll just kind of quickly go through it. We won't, go too into depth because, to be quite honest, I've not actually looked at it that in depth myself. But I am trying to find out where my mouse went to. But we will do it here. Okay, so it starts out. You've got traits, where traits are essentially, I think the equivalent in other systems would be feats, where you have these abilities which will help improve your rolls. Oh, look at this fucking artwork. I love everything about it. It is absolutely fantastic. So anyway, let us carry on. I have a feeling my mouse has kind of died. That's why it's misbehaving. Okay, so let's carry on scrolling. We're not going to show you the whole book for copyright reasons. So, we start with the traits. So, yeah, I'm getting confused. So, a bunch of new traits to add to your character. And if we go back to the beginning, we'll be able to see what else there is. Arcane traits, ability combinations. They've got new crafting rules, which I don't believe is in the original Coven Crucible rulebook. House lore, which will expand upon the lore of the houses. The Coven Crucibles. I want to find something really cool. So it will be on page 161. So I can actually go there quickly. 161. All right. Okay. So where is that handsome devil? See, if I'd have been prepared, I'd have actually had the fucking page ready, which I do not. So I hope you guys like being engaged by me scrolling through a fucking book. I think we're getting close. I think we're getting. Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's fucking gorgeous. So, Too Legit to Crit, two internet witches from the UK. They're some of the more publicly known and recognized of the internet witches. They consider themselves white hats and utilize that reputation for fame and profit. Both John and Justin put their magical skills to use, finding and debunking internet myths and exposing frauds. They currently host two shows. Their main show is their namesake, Too Legit to Crit, and that is the show focused on finding internet urban legends and debunking them. Their follow-up show, The Crit List, is where they spot indie games and designers who have actual plays run by folks who design those indie games. They're extremely popular on both social media and in the tabletop role-playing game community. Many of their fans can be recognized by wearing shirts and hoodies that spot their catchphrase, waffle on. And there we go. So, just going to go over my stats pretty quickly. So, I've got 7 in will, 3 in body, sounds about right, 3 in agility, and 6 in magic. My skills involve academics, artistics, athletics, magical. So, I academics, social, and magical. Apparently, is that is where I shine. And in sub skills, it is computers, parapsychology, interesting, science, hexing, occult, conversation, animal handling. Yeah, dogs fucking hate me. And first aid. In real life, I am not very good at first aid. Just gonna kind of put that out there. But this is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I cannot thank Stefan and his family enough for this fantastic honor. You know, to have me and this bearded fuck immortalized in such a way is just absolutely outstanding. Let's have a look in Justin. So Justin is will 7, body 3, agility 3, and magic 6. High academics, high magical, high technical. Fair enough. So yeah, that is, you know, this is just, I cannot state enough just what an honor this is. Just to kind of be part of this lore and be part of this game that, you know, that family has poured their fucking heart and soul into this game. And the fact that they have included us in it is just, if I don't accomplish anything more with this venture, I'm happy. Because of this, I'm in a book. You know, I'm in a book that people can buy and people can kind of go, oh, that NPC was such a knob. And I want to feel, instead of saying it to my face, they can say it to my NPC. That's run by some poor GM out there. But yeah, again, Stefan, we love you. Thank you ever so much. It is, again, the highest honor and the highest praise. So yeah, that is my NPC. I'm a very, very fortunate person, and I will be going through Unbound. I'll be going through it with a fine-tooth comb. I will be learning everything I can about it, just because, you know, I think I owe it to Stefan and I owe it to their family. to do that, and hopefully we get Stefan on to run us through the campaign or the one shot in which I am an NPC, because that is going to be fucking surreal. Me playing a character interacting with me. I don't know how many people are going to be able to say that. I don't know, and I am so fucking for that weirdness. So we are trying to get things arranged. We're trying to organize a day in which Stefan will come back and we will carry on our journey into Coven Crucible. Because in our last game, of course, at Coven Crucible, our party pissed a lot of people off. Like, I'm talking a lot of fucking people. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And, hopefully Catalyst keeps on talking about a crossover. So, Sam, maybe bring your character in. She can meet the likes of Nash. Nash is a great dude. He's okay. Just don't lend him money or don't trust him with anything at all, because he is not to be trusted. So, another thing that was sent to me, this was, let me just bring this up. Again, I'm clicking on all the wrong fucking things at the moment. Okay, so this was sent to me a couple of weeks back, and Atlas and I said we'd kind of take a look at it on the show. All right, a while back we mentioned on the show sorcerers, adventurers, kings, and economics. Now, I don't know whether it's meant to be pronounced sake or sake, but I call it sake, and hopefully I'm getting that right. But this was sent to us. It is the alpha release of Sake, and it is by Rainer Kasich Aslav, and he is the person that we were talking to. We did try get him on the show, but that still kind of needs to materialize. But hopefully it will. This thing is a fucking labor of love. We used to see him sort of independent releases be on, I would say, a realistic side. I would say it kind of like an achievable side. Rainer has gone ahead and done 521 pages of his RPG, and that's more than some AAA titles. So this has been a long road for him, and I've been following Rainer for ever since we mentioned him on the show, and just kind of watching the progress updates. He does a lot of artistic design using sort of 3D modeling. So if we kind of have a look at that I do believe is one of the things he did. And that, I think that's just phenomenal. That is absolutely fantastic. There is, there's artwork like this dotted throughout the entire book, all done, from my understanding, because I can't see any credits anywhere else, all done by Rainer, all put together by this very, very talented individual. So again, much like Unbound, I haven't really delved into this. However, the things that I have discovered is that this is a modular game. All right. It is a game where you can kind of pick and choose the elements of it that you want to use, which, to be fair, and I know a lot of people will kind of go, yeah, but my game of choice, you can do that. That's great, you can, but they're not necessarily designed that way. This has been designed from the ground up for you to be able to kind of go, I want that, I don't want that, I'm not interested in that. So there are, if I'm not mistaken, 3 types of gaming. There is domain and warfare, which is sort of like kingdom building. You create a domain, you basically supply your domain, and you go to war. So it focuses on the grand scheme of things. And I'll go into into why I find that fascinating in just a second. There is also a system for engaging in trade and shipping and war at sea. So it's the whole Oceanic world and its trade regions. So it's the trade and seafaring module. Again, if I wanted to run a pirate campaign, this could probably fucking do it. Then there is a magic system that is dangerous, powerful, and theoretically accessible to anyone. It's got a sorcery and otherworld module. It's got its own thing. But then also you can do your adventuring module, which would be more like what we know as a tabletop role-playing game, where we have an adventuring party. And these things are interchangeable. You can use what you want out of every single one. And let's take this, let's take the Domain and Warfare module. When I was running my homebrew campaign in Pathfinder, I created, I thought of an arc in which the party would basically, they would stumble into a war zone. They would stumble into an ongoing war. And, you know, it wouldn't be a good versus evil. It wouldn't be right versus wrong. It would be a war, a difference, a, you know, alternating, differentiating viewpoints that have reached the most horrific conclusion. And I was going to let them decide as a party, okay, do we lean more this way? Do we lean more that way? Again, there would be no sort of wrong or right answer, but that would be the decision that the party made, because they would need something. And it would be whatever they went with, they would need something from the opposing force. So what I wanted to do was to, instead of playing Pathfinder as Pathfinder and having it, you know, okay, you go into an encounter and this, that, and the other, I wanted to do a battle. I wanted to kind of find a system that would work well into kind of going, right now we're not playing Pathfinder. You are going to be in charge of units, or you're going to be in charge of thingy, and basically create and have a war game, as it were. And I looked into various things. I did look into Kingmaker, which was okay, but I thought that would be it would be a bit heavy to learn. I wanted something that would be a bit easier to pick up. And then obviously you kind of go through all the different sort of war games, not necessarily to use as is, but to kind of draw inspiration from. In the end, I decided it was too much work. But now looking at this, with, say, if you are running a game in Sake, you could feasibly do that. You could feasibly go, okay, so you are now entering a war. You are now entering a overland or an airborne or a sea battle. And there are rules in this book that you can immediately go, right, let's grab. Another thing I love about this book is everything's hyperlinked. I do love a hyperlinked PDF. So if I now go to like the Domain and Warfare module, here we have, you've got obviously the history and the politics of the world that you're in, but it also, I mean, just look at the layout. The layout's phenomenal. This is a wonderful bit of work. So once you kind of get past that, you can start doing, start working on a kingdom and start working on building this domain of yours. And I was hoping to find the combat rules just to see how complex they were. And by the way, this is a D20 system. So, you know, it will be familiar to most people. So playing the domain game, so we kind of keep scrolling past. Random event. I think I'm way beyond, but when I get a chance to actually sit down and have a look at this book, I will. But I just like the idea of being able to kind of go, okay, so there's our adventuring party. We leave the dungeon, we get on a ship. Okay, we are now in this type of game. And you're able to run it without sort of having to bring in other rule sets, without having to bring in other inspiration. You've got everything you need in this book. And that is absolutely fantastic. It is, like I said, it is an alpha release. This was released to backers, and it was also released to us. And again, Raina, thank you ever so much, because I do love it. And you got to give me some time, man. It is 521 pages, so I will get through it. It's just going to take me a bit because I do have other things, gaming and non-gaming, even establishments. This is wonderful. I mean, it is, it's an impressive feat for Raina to kind of put that together. It is absolutely wonderful. So yeah, check that out. Check out Sega. I think you can still pre-order it. Again, that is in alpha, so I don't know how long the alpha phase and then the beta phase are going to be, but it's definitely worth checking out. And 100% Coven Crucible. You need Coven Crucible in your life. Guaranteed you've not played anything like it, and you're going to have a ton of fun. It is very crunchy, but in a fluid sort of sense. It's not crunchy in the, oh, I need to look up this rule sort of sense. It is crunchy in the fact that you are given the ability, you are given so much ability to do things. And, it's not a micromanaged sort of crunch. So it isn't, okay, well, the book says I can do this, so I can do this. It's more of a conversation between the keeper and the player to kind of go, right, this is what I want to do. And then the GM will go, okay, or the storyteller, should I say, will go, yeah, okay, that is, I'll allow that, or no, that's not going to work. Have you tried this sort of thing? And they're the systems that I thoroughly enjoy. I love when the players are given a sense of agency. I love when the players are given the ability to kind of, I won't say negotiate, but to kind of offer suggestion. And, like I saw the other day playing Pathfinder with my kid, it was like, that doesn't offer that. It was like, yeah, but you're not allowed to do that because it goes against the rules. Whereas, something like Coven Crucible is heavily influenced by the sort of storytelling type of gameplay, and it just works really well. So yeah, check it out and fall in love with that world. Fall in love with that. And if you like us, you're going to piss off the Baba Yagas, which is probably not a good idea. We piss them off like something fierce. And I am very much fearful for my character's longevity when we actually decide to get back to that. But surprisingly enough, I've managed to talk for an hour, which honestly, going into this, I really didn't think I would be able to. I've had some wonderful questions from Sam, which, they've kept me on my toes. They've kind of thrown me through a loop. But, I think this has gone pretty well, I must say. Oh, Sam has put in the chat that Baba Yaga took out an FBI agent in our campaign. Yeah, Baba Yagas are pricks. Baba Yagas, yeah, they're not very good people. But you don't want to piss them off, which is what we did. We fucked them off. So yeah, we'll try not to piss off the Baba Yagas in our next game, but you will be able to watch it. We will be able to pick up the action and kind of see what we're doing and see my great character Nash, who is a monumental cock. So yeah, that's going to be fun, and hopefully it's going to be fun for all. I do hope that you have enjoyed listening to me waffle on for an hour. I've certainly enjoyed it. My mouth's dry because I haven't had someone to kind of hand the reins to while I have a quick drink of my soda, which is down here. Which that's the first I'm shotgunning this fucker as soon as I go off air. But this has been an absolute pleasure. I just want to kind of thank Sam and everyone else who's joined us in the chat for keeping me company tonight. God knows I fucking needed it. Normally this is where I would ask Atlas to kind of, promote herself, but I'm gonna have to do it for her. Atlas like the Titan, Ursa like the bear on Threads and all that. So yeah, follow Atlas though. Seriously, follow Atlas. She's a fantastic artist. She's got a great Discord with really, really a really good vibe, and I hate using that term, but it is a fantastic vibe in there. She does live streams every Saturday where she does art on the fly, and we play a version of Scrabble, which Connell somehow always ends up winning. But it's a fun time. So go ahead and follow Atlas on everything and anything you find her on, except for in person, because that would be fucking weird. So as for me, you can find me at natural.juan on Threads. I'm also at naturaljuan at dice.camp on Mastodon. Also, Too Legit to Crit on Blue Sky, which is beginning to gain a bit of traction now. I'm really enjoying some of the back and forth that's going on there. I'm also behind our Instagram, our Facebook. We've got a Discord. Come along, join it, and come and say hi. Again, if you want to support us, you can do it at the $3 a month tier, which will give you access to our private channels on the Discord, where some real kinky shit happens. Not really, but if it helps get fucking subscribers, go ahead. And also you can just do like a one-time donation, which is going to be massively appreciated. And we will include you on the credits to the show. And other than that, I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy day, listening to one idiot waffle on about tabletop role-playing games. Thank you very much, and good night.